The 3 rounds of heats will eventually decide the 12 fastest drivers who go into the A, B and C finals. And this is another mighty local battle, the battle of the front-wheel drives minis. And in there, amongst those two, are the 2 hot favourites for getting into the A final from Irishmen. Number 16, Richard Douglas, and number 28, Ronnie White, the 2 minis in the middle. 28, Ronnie White on the outside. Douglas getting gouged by Raymond Beggs. The Beggs backs off, thankfully, but Douglas and White go up the hill side by side. Douglas on the right, White on the outside, and again there was contact there. Ronnie White has gone through, but he gets it terribly sideways. Douglas sideways too, and there's a real needle match. So it's Ronnie White and Richard Douglas. Richard Douglas is certainly the most successful man here at Boyd's Quarry in recent years. And Ronnie White, and that's the cutting and part of the course that he will remember very, very well indeed, where he had an enormous accident back in 1976. Ronnie White then from the Boyd, getting it all together on the first lap of this particular heat. Out he goes, getting traction on the outside of the course and up the hill, and surprisingly, he seems to be dropping Richard Douglas with comparative ease. The Newton Hamilton garage owner far back there in second place, then Raymond Beggs is in third, and the 4th runner in this heat, Wilfred McNeice. But we can hear some very sick-sounding noises coming out of one of those minis. Ronnie White certainly sounds likely enough. 1475 cc's, and once again at the cutting, he gets a bit untidy. Ronnie White, who has been in minis since they come out and advertising the glorious competition life of the mini on the front bonnet of his motor car there. Ronnie White, having had a very successful, flying high there, having had a very successful year this year and indeed last, he's Northern Ireland's sprint champion. But at the beginning of the season, he tried to forsake his long-loved mini and went into a Ford Fiesta, which he hasn't yet managed to make competitive. So it's back to the mini for the big day here at Boyd's. And once again, a bit of a heart stopper as it goes right out to the tires every time through the cutting. A very wide line, in fact, into paddock, and he must have lost a little bit of time that time because Richard Douglas, as you can see, is closing up again as they go on to their last lap. So Richard Douglas putting in a late challenge, and I wonder, in fact, if Douglas's car was off a cylinder there for a lap or two, but certainly now he's dramatically closing on White. On their last lap, onto the tarmac for the last time. Ronnie White, number 28. Richard Douglas, number 16, are right behind him. Douglas's car, a 1460cc mini, but it looks like it's going to be White's heat. Through Boyd's corner, and Douglas has stopped. Douglas has gone. No sign of Richard Douglas, he's stopped. Absolute disaster for the neutral Hamilton man as Ronnie White takes the checkered flag. And this is a real heavyweight heat because John Clarkson from Wigan, number 41 on the left of your picture, alongside him, one of the absolute hot favourites for today, John Welsh from just outside London, number 39 in his very quick BDA Escort. Then we have Colin Howard, and on the outside, Liam Carey from Cushendall in very exalted company. But look at Welsh go, John Welsh up the hill. It's a 2.25 litre BDA Escort, and it's very quick indeed. Welsh, undoubtedly one of the superstars of international rallycross, his first visit here to Boyd's Quarry, and he is certainly showing his class. And if anyone can beat Martin Schanche, it could be John Welsh. And look at that man go, this is sensational. John Welsh, who just missed the British Championship at Lytton Hill a couple of weeks ago, when unfortunately this car broke down on him when he was actually leading Tony Drummond at the time, is now putting on a masterful display. But Liam Carey, number 42, surprisingly there, is in second place. A brilliant drive by the Cushendall man, because he's leading John Clarkson and Colin Howard, two very well-known cross-channel competitors.
And Welsh nearly loses us. Quarry is catching. How utterly amazing. Liam Quarry holding on to the great John Welsh at the moment. And this is certainly one of the David and Goliath performances of the day. Because there is absolutely no doubt that Welsh has an enormous car advantage over Liam Quarry's car. Quarry's car just an overhead cam Escort engine in that car, as opposed to the 2.25 Ford Pinto engine in John Welsh's car. Welsh now seems to once again have recovered, though. Welsh, and this is the bit that he doesn't like. It slides very wide indeed, and it's the bit that Liam Quarry manages to close up on in each lap. So when Welsh runs out of the car advantage, and once again you can see how brave Quarry is and how close he gets there as they enter the cutting, but this is where the power of John Welsh's car just has a huge advantage. Very sideways and clean through voids, magnificent stuff, and once again getting into big trouble in the Broadway. Quarry much tidier, going on to the last lap, and it promises to be a good one. So John Welsh, absolutely international name, being shadowed all the way and very, very closely this time by Liam Quarry. And Welsh, surely he's gone. No, he held it. And Quarry there right with him this time. He's got to get past in this part of the course because the superior power of Welsh's car is just going to take him into the distance, but he's very sideways as he comes down the cutting. But you can see the very lightweight Escort of Welsh's car soaking up the bumps rather better. And again, two sideways through the Broadway, and Quarry right with him. And Liam Quarry challenging at the very last corner, but didn't quite make it. It's John Welsh's heat, but certainly Liam Quarry will be very, very pleased indeed with that performance.
Only once before has a European rallycross champion graced the Lawn Motor Club's event, and yet that was John Taylor. But here we have the ultimate superstar of rallycross, Martin Schanche, number 38 there, blasting off into the distance in his space-age Escort. Schanche, bringing Schanche to Boyd's Quarry would be roughly equivalent to billing Nelson Piquet to Kirkuson. He is the man that has won the European Championship on 3 occasions, an absolute superstar. And that you are seeing is a 1.7-litre turbocharged Escort, developing at least 400 brake horsepower and probably 470 if he wishes to turn up the boost when he becomes under a bit of pressure. There is certainly no pressure whatsoever on him in this particular heat. And thanks to Alomac, here he is appearing in Northern Ireland. And we can imagine that when he almost certainly, unless Stroll intervenes, he will get into the A final. It could be John Welsh, the man that could really give him some opposition this afternoon. From Oslo, Schanche has won the European Championship in 78, 79, and 1981, and indeed he was runner-up this year. And there it goes, smooth power, and not too many unnecessary sideways movements. He really is in command of that motor car. The multi-champion has never been at Boyd's Quarry before, but it isn't creating any problems whatsoever for him at the moment. Up he goes over the hill past some of the casualties of earlier races. And just feeding on the turbocharged power. It's basically the same engine that is used in the amazing Group 5 Zack-Speed Capris that are raced in Germany. Detuned a little bit for rallycross, but quite an extraordinary machine. And the only car that can currently really stay with the Audi Quattros, which have won the European Championship this year. But only just, and a very close fought thing it was, from this man. On to his last lap and making it all look quite simple. Literally yards and yards ahead of the opposition, but that was a definite mistake, and I would imagine a very rare mistake from this superstar, because he was right up the bank as he came over the hill. Now I think
He's playing a little bit to the crowds as he's way ahead of the opposition.
Comes European champion in that particular heat. Well, after the first runs, Martin Schanche from Oslo led the Cushendall man, Con Quarry, by 4 seconds. Con was just 0.6 of a second ahead of Boyd's Quarry veteran Ronnie White. We now come forward in time to see Con Quarry on the line for his second heat of the day. Con Quarry, second quickest after the first runs, number 37 there, and only 4 seconds slower than the great Martin Schanche. Streaming off the line, but Richard Douglas, number 16 in second place, a man who had a dismal first heat and in fact failed to finish. But Quarry is the one local driver who really has been putting times in amongst the visitors. There he goes, Con Quarry, 2-litre PDA Escort, a little bit slow through Bluebell Bend there, in fact making Richard Douglas an opportunity to catch up. And Douglas really has to go some now because his first run didn't count at all. He's going to get 2 very quick runs in and he's now really challenging Con Quarry. Douglas on the inside as they come up to Boyd's, but it's Quarry's corner. Quarry's certainly one of the most spectacular men here at Boyd's today, really mastering these conditions that should, in a sense, be more suited to the Mini. And there he goes, Douglas takes the lead. Up the hill and flying away from Quarry now. A little bit wide as he came down into Bluebell that time, but he's okay. And he has to have a very quick and a perfect run on this one, Richard Douglas, because this and the final run-off each are going to count. There's the third member of this 3-car heat, Gordon Wallace from tomorrow. Richard Douglas, then the Duke Hamilton man, who through the history of Boyd's Quarry has been one of the most successful men around this amazing track. Just laid out the bed of a quarry through the ingenuity of the Lawn Motor Club and indeed the generosity of the owners. And Douglas is obviously going to do a very quick time on this one. Quarry, as we said, was second quickest in the first heat, and Douglas in trouble, lost a lot of time. And that was a major mistake for the Newton Hamilton man. Richard Douglas, ultra lightweight, 14-16 Mini, that broke down on him on the first runs. Here he comes. Quarry, you can see, hanging on in the misty background. And of course, if you get into second place, you have a huge visibility problem. There will be windscreen washers on the wipers, trying the almost impossible task of clearing the mud being flung at him by Richard Douglas. And Quarry now very close indeed, this time into Bluebell. And one of the closest heats we've seen so far. Douglas, of course, in the front-wheel drive Mini, quite a different characteristic, a total different way of driving it, compared to Con Quarry's rear-wheel drive, very sideways motor car, and the Mini suiting the tight bits round the back, but you can see that the Escort will close up on the very fast section that they're entering now. Down they come. Douglas to take the checkered flag. Con Quarry just behind him, a very close one indeed. And Quarry nearly losing it over the finish line. Well, to nobody's surprise, Martin Schanche, number 38, just disappearing into the distance once again in Heat 2, was fastest in the first heat runoffs. This amazing man in the supercar, despite the atrocious conditions that you can see in our cameras there, is absolutely dominating this event. But it is becoming more and more a Mini occasion, because as the conditions worsen, the little front-wheel drive cars are beginning to be able to cope better with it. But there has never been such a sophisticated machine as this Alumac Escort seen here in Ireland before. A turbocharged 1.7-litre engine that quite amazingly has so much torque that the Norwegian is able to, once he gets the car off the line, just keep her in third gear and play with the throttle the whole way around the course. And there it goes. So Martin Schanche leads from Philip Walker, number 999 in the Mini, which is nowhere in sight. Walker totally out of it.
Walker completely out of it, nowhere to be seen. There's Biggerstaff just going through picture. And Davy Selfridge, the other runner in this heat, also has retired into the paddock. Martin Schenker dominated the first 10 times, and his first run he was 4 seconds quicker than anybody else. And here he is out, absolutely, totally dominating this heat again. However, once he gets into the final, which he almost certainly will now, into the A final with these two runs, it could be a very different story. Getting a little bit crossed up there, and you can see the triple European champion really having to work at the wheel as he came over the hill that time. Down goes the power, and of course it's no good having a lot of power unless you have a lot of traction also. And there's Biggerstaff, who really should have been the 1982 Northern Ireland Rallycross champion if the organisers hadn't mucked up the whole point system. But he's been absolutely left in the wake of this mighty man in this mighty car.
Bright and sunny weather for the final of the Motor Clip International on the new and impressive rallycross circuit at